بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I love knowledge more and more, and I love the people of knowledge more and more, even if they don't love to learn per se. The scholars of Islam, and they said, "Kun aliman, in lam tastati fakun muta'alliman." Be a scholar, a learned person. If you can't do that, then be a learner, a student. وَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَلَا تُبْغِضْهُمَا. And if you can't be one of those two people, a person who is serious about learning or teaching, then at least don't hate those two people. And people all throughout the history of Islam, they're just regular, regular Joes, regular Amr and Zaids, and Muhammad and Ahmeds in the community, right? And they would come out in the hundreds or the thousands to sit in the gatherings of the Imams of the Sunnah, and they wouldn't be writing. They would just be watching. They would be there for the experience, to watch the character of the scholar, and to be there to get the barakah of the sitting, and so on and so forth, right? So not every person is going to be a scholar or a serious student of knowledge, but the more they know about Islam and the more they appreciate knowledge and what knowledge is and value knowledge and the people who are giving them that knowledge, then the more they'll love the religion and the more they'll love the best of the Muslims, who are the scholars of Islam. That's why speaking against the scholars of Islam can go at the core of a person's faith and may even invalidate their faith. It might even invalidate their faith, as comes in the hadith of Auf bin Malik al-Ashja'i, and that is found in the books of Sunan, Sahih Muslim, I believe, and is elsewhere in the books of Sirah, that the well-known verses in Surah At-Tawbah, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ لَيَقُولُنَّ إِنَّمَا كُنَّا نَخُوضُ وَنَلْعَبُ. If you were to ask them, if you were to interrogate them, ask them of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why they said what they said, they would say, we were only نَخُوضُ وَنَلْعَبُ, we're just passing the time with conversation and just joking around. What did they say? Auf ibn Malik, he was sitting amongst them, and he was a person who was beloved to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is during the Battle of Tabuk. This is during the expedition of Tabuk, if I recall correctly. I might be mistaken about that, actually. They said, if you were to ask them, then they would say, إِنَّمَا كُنَّا نَخُوضُ وَنَلْعَبُ. What did they say? That we're only joking. We're only joking. They said, مَا رَأَيْنَا مِثْلَ قُرَّائِنَا هَؤُلَاء. مَا رَأَيْنَا مِثْلَ قُرَّائِنَا هَؤُلَاء. We haven't seen anybody like these so-called scholars of ours, they said. Qurra, reciters, is a word that the early generations used to describe Ahlul Ilm, the people of knowledge, because the core of knowledge is the Quran, recitation. A person wouldn't have learned the Quran without knowing the meanings of it, that sort of thing. So a person who is a reciter is a learned person. We haven't seen anybody like these learned people of ours. أَرْغَبَ بُطُونًا وَلَا أَكْذَبَ أَلْسُنًا وَلَا أَجْبَنَ عِنْدَ لِقَاءٍ. They describe them with three things. They said, who are greedier in their appetites, who are greater liars with their tongues, and who are more cowardly in meeting the enemy on the battlefield. Auf ibn Malik, he said, كَذَبْتَ عَدُوَ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنَّكَ مُنَافِقٌ لَأُخْبِرَنَّ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ عَمَّا قُلْتَ. He said, you have lied, O enemy of Allah, but rather you are a munafiq, meaning a person who is pretending to be a Muslim. I'm going to go and tell the Prophet ﷺ what you just said. I'm going to tell the Prophet ﷺ what you just said. This shows that there's an exception to namima, ani naql al-akhbar, if there is a maslaha, rajiha, if there is a greater good to warn against some serious detriment or harm, to alert an authority figure about serious detriment and harm. And by the time Auf ibn Malik got to the Prophet ﷺ, Allah had sent revelation telling the Prophet ﷺ what had happened before Auf got to him. And he said, it's like I could see the munafiq now hanging onto the side of the naqa, of the she-camel of the Prophet ﷺ. His feet were banging against the rocks, and the Prophet ﷺ was riding away, saying, إِنَّمَا كُنَا نَخُوضُ وَنَلْعَبُ. We were just laughing and joking and trying to pass the time. We didn't mean no harm. Allah said, قُلْ أَبِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَآيَاتِهِ وَرَسُولِهِ كُنْتُمْ تَسْتَحْزِئُونَ. Was it Allah and His ayat and His messengers that you were making fun of? Who were they making fun of? Who were they making fun of? The scholars from the Sahaba. We're making fun of the scholars from the Sahaba. mocking the scholars from the Sahaba? Was it them that you were making fun of? Was it them that you were mocking? Was it Allah and His ayat and His messenger? So what did Allah call the scholars? His ayat. The scholars are the ayat of Allah upon the earth. The scholars of the Sunnah, they are the ayat of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala upon the earth. لا تعتذروا قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. Don't make excuses for yourself. You have disbelieved after your iman, after your faith. After professing faith, you have disbelieved. And so, love of Islam and the message of Islam and the scholars of Islam and the people of Islam is a condition of La ilaha illallah. Is a condition of La ilaha illallah. We love each other even if we can't stand each other.